Hello friends and viewers. Today in this video I am going to explain some terms related to the cytokine like the autocrine, paracrine, endocrine, and some other terms like the Pliotropism, redundancy, synergy, and antagonism. These terms are very complex and complicated, and sometimes they are puzzled if you do not understand it and just to try memorize it, because these terms are very related to each other and sometimes very difficult to distinguish from one to another. So what these terms actually mean? So when somebody tell the autocrine action of the cytokine, that's mean that the cell which produce the cytokines also bind to the receptor on the same cell, because the same cell produce the receptor and express the receptor on the cell surface. So this kind of action of the cytokine is called autocrine action. Basically, auto means itself. So when the cytokine bind to the same cell, this is called autocrine. The second type is called the paracrine action. When one cell produces the cytokine, but this cytokine bind to the nearby cells inside of our body, this is called the paracrine action of the cytokine. The term para means the periphery of the cell, that means the nearby cell. The third type of action is called the endocrine action, because in our body some cell produce the cytokine and this cytokine go through the circulation like the blood and lymphatic vessel, and they act or bind to the cells those are very distant from the cells that produce the cytokine. This fashion of action is very similar to the hormonal action, because hormone also act like this way, that they produce from one part of the body and they act on the other part of the body of the cells. So this type of action is called the endocrine action. And some other action called the Pliotropism. So Pliotropism is an action when one cell produce a definite cytokine and this cytokine act on different type of cell for different function. For example, here the activated CD4 helper T cell produce the IL-4 cytokine, which act on B cell and CD4 T cell, and in this way IL-4 help B cell to produce the IgE antibody and the CD4 T cell to differentiate to Th2 type of cell. So for this reason the action of this IL-4 is called the Pliotropism. But when one or different type of cell produce the different cytokine and those different cytokine act on a specific cell and have the same or overlapping action, then it is called the redundancy. In this example, activated CD4 helper T cell produce the IL-2 and IL-4 cytokine, which act on B cell and both induce the proliferation of the B cell. So the action of this IL-2 and IL-4 cytokine is called the redundancy. It also means that when IL-2 and the IL-4 bind to the B cell, the total amount of proliferation is not greater than the total effect of single IL-2 or single IL-4 bind to the B cell separately. Next is the synergy. When two types of cell produce two types of cytokine and these two types of cytokine act on a specific cell type and effect is additive, then it is called the synergy. This is very different from the redundancy, because in redundancy, two cytokines give the similar type of reaction or action, and the effect is not additive. But in synergy, the total effect will be increased by twofold. For example, here activated CD4 helper T cell produce the interferon gamma and macrophage produce the TNF alpha. But when these two act on a specific cell type, the expression of the MHC class 1 molecule on this cell type will be increased by twofold than the total effect of single bound IFN gamma and the TNF alpha. So the action is very increased. For that reason, this is called the synergy. Next is the antagonism. When two cytokines are produced from same cell or different cell and they act on the same type of cell, but one cytokine inhibit the action of other cytokine, then it is called the antagonism. For example, here activated CD4 helper T cell produce the interferon gamma and also the IL-10. But when the interferon gamma act on the macrophage, macrophages are activated. But when the IL-10 act on the macrophage get inhibited. So this type of action called the antagonism. These are the definition of the autocrine, paracrine, endocrine, and Pliotropism, redundancy, synergy, and antagonism. Hope you have understand very easily. So thank you for watching. If you think that this is very easy to understand, please subscribe and like us, and do not forget to share it.